So when we're dealing with the right triangle, we have special names. And you guys already know it because we've already been talking about it. So that side, the side that is opposite the right angle, is called the hypotenuse. It's one side of the triangle. Okay? The other sides we either call bases or legs. Okay? So I'm just going to use the term leg today. But we know that leg and base are synonymous because in our formula for area we say base times height, right? And our base is really one leg of a triangle. Okay? But when we're dealing with the right triangle, we don't care that these guys have special names. We only care about that hypotenuse because we have something called the Pythagorean theorem, and I'll spell it for you, and you should be writing it down, Miss Kristen. Okay, and the Pythagorean theorem says all right triangles, we can solve their leg lengths and their hypotenuse lengths because they're related. Okay, and they're related in that with this special formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay? Now the only thing that we care about is that the hypotenuse is always c. Always, 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 always. Okay? The hypotenuse is always our c. But the legs can be called A or B. It doesn't matter which one you call A, and it doesn't matter which one you call B. Okay? And if we know this, then we can use our rules of algebra to solve any side length of any triangle. So for instance, if we say that we want to solve for the hypotenuse of this triangle, and one leg is 15 inches, and the other leg is 20 inches, and we want to solve for the hypotenuse, we can plug it into our formula. So we're going to say that A is 15 squared plus our B, which is 20 squared, is equal to C squared.
Is your answer always going to be C squared? Or
always, but we're going to solve for C.
And it's always
How do you
squared?
get C alone?
Divide.
Not divide.
Add the opposite.
Nope.
No, not reciprocal.
What's the opposite of a square? A power is a square. What's the opposite of that?
Square root.
The square root. Okay, so we're going to be using square roots. Okay, so here we go. 15 squared is? 225. And 20 squared is? 400. Equals C squared.
Help us.
And 225 plus 400 is? 625 equals C squared. Am I allowed to drop the squared?
No.
No, I'm not allowed. Okay, so I want C alone. Andrew, write the problem down. How do I take the C squared and make it a C, Ibris?
Square root.
Take the square root. And if I take the square root on one side, I must
Take it on the other side.
take it on the other. And the square root of 625 is?
25.
And the square root of C squared is?
C.
C. Did we solve what we wanted?
Yes.
What has to be on the end of this 25? Inches.
Square.
Okay? So now it gets a little bit harder.
You had to say it, Hunter.
And it gets a little bit harder always. And
Yeah, but then
in this triangle, they give us that this guy is 8 and this guy is 16, and they want us to solve for this guy.
don't
Okay.
say that.
Is that an A?
It's an A. Yes, dear?
If you did this, wouldn't it just be the other way around?
What?
When instead of it would equal C, wouldn't it equal A?
No.
I don't think it works
We can only use the Pythagorean theorem with the right triangles. And so our Pythagorean theorem is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. What is our A? Do we know?
No.
No, we don't. So we're going to leave him as A squared. What's our B? 8. And we have to say that we're going to square it. What's our C? 16. And we have to square it. So now we need to solve. A squared gets left alone for now. 8 squared is?
64. Whoa.
16 squared. Hunter, really? Is that how you want to behave? Really? That's what you want? 16 squared is? 16 squared is?
256.
Thank you. Okay. What do we do to get A alone? Subtract 64. Or we add the additive inverse. What's an additive inverse? The opposite. And A squared is equal to 256 minus 64? Kristen? Why is your hand up if you don't want to answer?
196
296 minus 64 equals 192. Okay, Kristen, question?
Could you put the A squared in
No, you may not. You must keep it, and Brianna asked this question already, you must use this formula as is. Okay? It doesn't work if you put it on the other side.
You're pretty much doing the same thing because you have to subtract the 64 from that side.
But if you just move it, you haven't used your formula. I can't just say A squared equals B squared plus C squared. I can say A squared equals C squared minus B squared, because that would mean I'm subtracting B squared over in the very beginning. But you can't just move your equal sign because you feel like leaving your A alone. You have to follow the rules of algebra. Okay, and you have to follow your formula. So A squared equals 192. How do I get my A squared to become an A? I take the square root, and if I do it to one side, I do it to the other. So A squared, the square root of A squared is A. What's the square root of 192?
Between 13 and 14.
It's between 13 and 14 if you look at our little chart. So what do? We've done square roots already this year. What do? Do I leave it as root of 192? No. What do? I take it to its primes and I take it to simplest form. So I'm going to say that 192 needs to come down to its simplest form. So I'm going to divide it by 2 because I know it's an even number and I can do it in my head. And 2 goes into 19 9 times, and 2 goes into 12 6 times. This is a prime. 96 is divisible by 3. 3 goes into 9 3 times, 3 goes into 6 2 times. 32 is 8 and 4. 4 is 2 and 2. 8 is 2, 2, and 2. And now I'm down to my primes. So I have to list